Welcome, everybody, to OnPodcast, the On Microsoft podcast, where we talk about Microsoft stuff on a podcast. I'm your host today, Kareem Anderson, and I thought we'd change up the format just a tad if you guys will bear with me. I thought we could at least do one opening discussion where we kind of go in depth and, find out some information, maybe learn some new things about a topic. And then I will run through the headlines in no particular order, no days anymore. We'll just give you all the headlines that happened in the week of the 16th of September. So let's start with our opening discussion, which is Xbox head Phil Spencer responding to the latest Activision deal criticisms, to which there were many in a 5-day span. In a recent statement at the Tokyo Game Show, Spencer responded to questions about the possibility of further acquisitions for Microsoft's gaming division with the following.
Are you still looking to remain acquisitive because you've got Tencent really starting to get involved in the space now, you've got Sony nibbling at the edges, or is it just about waiting and seeing what happens with Activision and then pressing pause for a little bit in terms of buying up other studios?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, you nailed it. This is such a competitive market. I don't think we get to press pause on anything. Tencent is the largest gaming company on the planet today, and they continue to heavily invest in gaming content and game creators. Sony is a larger business than we are in gaming today, and they continue to invest when you look at the investments that we've made. It's a highly, highly competitive market. We strive to be a major player here. We want to deliver great content for our players, and we're going to remain active. Like I said, whether that's investing in our internal teams that are already building great games that people know and love, whether it's building new partnerships.
Along with this response, Spencer also touched upon Japan being a reinvestment opportunity for the company and its partners. He also answered questions about whether or not the company wants to reacquire Discord. And lastly, he kind of had a small dig at Sony and their kind of kerfuffle on raising international prices for their console. It's a great interview. We'll have more clips for it in the following. Meanwhile, Sony continues to use Call of Duty as its acquisition cudgel to kind of keep the acquisition at bay by saying that even if the CMA approves and Microsoft maintains its contractual obligations to the PlayStation platform, the fact that Call of Duty could become a part of Xbox Game Pass would, quote, stifle competition. I mean, heaven forbid players have a choice between playing Call of Duty on Game Pass subscription basis or paying $70 up front per game to play on PlayStation. But PlayStation is still going to attempt to make the argument that the deal between Activision and Microsoft is a bad choice. To that, Spencer responded to Sony's competition stifling rhetoric with the following: quote, when I look at something like Game Pass specifically, I think it's an output of competition in our market. Competition is about driving competitors to innovate, driving competitors to do things like cloud subscriptions, like building new intellectual properties, and everything we've been focused on is how we do to compete effectively. How do we deliver more value to our customers? It's interesting to see that Sony's throwing everything in the kitchen sink at the wall to stop Microsoft from encroaching on its cozy exclusivity contracts with Activision Blizzard, but we've yet to hear a peep from Nintendo on the matter. I mean, if they're part of the market, you'd think they'd be chiming in as well. Well, on to the headlines. And this is the week of the 16th of September. And we start off with Microsoft's new wallet feature in Microsoft Edge being rolled out. Microsoft is developing its way around not having its own mobile wallet app by putting it into the Edge browser, which can be used on mobile. On Monday, Microsoft announced it would start testing a new wallet feature that would help users manage digital assets and savings on Windows 10 and Windows 11 PCs, and presumably will sync across mobile at some point in the future. Previously, users could save credit card info through Edge, which would automatically fill in fields with the info and confirm with bioauthentication as well as CV numbers before any purchase. But it wasn't a dedicated spot. It wasn't really organized. This new version will be. Anyone eager to try it out can manually try and install it by doing the whole Edge flags thing, I think you can enter Edge // wallet into the Edge browser, and the new interface should show up if you're part of the A/B testing group. If Microsoft can market the Edge browser on mobile as the default browsing experience, it could find itself making some money with credit card partnerships and sponsorships via the dreaded A word, ads. I'm a little bit conflicted by the convenience versus annoyance factor of this news. We'll see what they do with it. The next thing we have on the docket, is Microsoft Viva Engage Storylines feature reaching general availability. For anyone dreading the Facebookification of office productivity, Microsoft is giving you a bit more nightmare fuel with its new Microsoft Viva Engage Storyline feature, which just reached general availability this week. Earlier this week, Microsoft announced that Viva Storyline is now widely available across Teams, Outlook, Yammer, and of course, Microsoft Viva. Billed as a feature to help enhance your communication across your organization for both employers and employees by sharing real-time updates and experiences. I believe Microsoft missed the memo that most employees try to avoid direct or indirect contact with their employers, like a student trying to avoid seeing their teacher outside of the classroom. However, for those of you who happen to enjoy your work environment, congratulations. Check with your admins to see if they've enabled it and if they haven't, you can walk them through it by telling them to choose managing storyline options via the Yammer.com or via Engage app. Microsoft might have the telemetry saying that offices are asking for a corporate Facebook-style platform, but as a geriatric millennial, I'm begging my office to reconsider the service because I don't need another social media service, especially one tied to work. Next up, we have it's been distributed in general availability, which is Excel Live, which will be now available in Microsoft Teams. And if you are tired of fumbling through screen sharing options during conference calls when you're trying to minimize or exit videos or web pages that you happen to be more interested in than the actual work you're being paid to do, Microsoft's got your back. Well, Microsoft just brought Excel Live to general availability, which now lets Teams users collaborate on Excel files directly within the meeting window as it supports Sheets View. I think we mentioned Sheets View a few months back. For the introvert at work, Excel Live will load for each participant in the optimized Zoom level with flexibility to adjust Zoom based on their preferences according to the Excel team. So you will load up your Excel sheet and everyone that's part of the meeting will get their own view of it. And they can adjust it and zoom in and zoom out as you continue with your own presentation. Now, before you toss your Zoom or Teams work shirt that you always have, that you just toss on before each meeting, and before you put the tape on your webcam for the final time that you're hoping, there are a few limitations to Excel Live that should be noted. First, the feature can only be used in meetings up to 25 attendees, and they must all be from the same organization, which means that if you have multiple vendors or partners that all happen to jump in on the same meeting, you're back to fumbling with screen share and having that business up top look if you happen to wear sweats during your meeting as well. Second, recordings can only be made in audio format. You cannot make Excel meeting video recordings as of yet, so please be very descriptive in what you're talking about because those who aren't watching may not be able to follow along. Last, web support for this feature is only working in the public version as of right now, and it's not in the general release that came out this week. So again, you'll have to convince your partners to go out and download Teams proper so you can continue to be an introvert and turn off your camera. Now, you may be doing the entire group a favor, especially for those people who fear asking, can we just do a video only meeting because we don't need to see each other in HD? The other bit of news that we had this week was 343's Industries' Bonnie Ross announces immediate retirement. Kim was a bit of a shock for anybody who's a Halo fan or a Bonnie Ross fan, and you could be both or you could be neither. The Halo franchise took some high-profile hits as two expected executives left 343 Industries, beginning with storied corporate vice president of Xbox Game Studio and head of 343 Industries, Bonnie Ross. She shared the sudden news initially via her Twitter account where she announced her retirement. Ross mentioned in her farewell tweet that the move to retirement was in part due to attending a family medical issue. And the abruptness of the news, we can only hope that things are okay with the family or will be in the future. A lot of people are speculating maybe she was fired, things like that. But if she's dealing with a family issue, we will hopefully give her the time to deal with that before trying to figure out what happened. In lesser reported news, technical development lead Dave Berger slipped in his 2 weeks notice right under the door about 2 days after Bonnie Ross made her announcement, or at least everyone found out about it. Berger oversaw the development of Halo Infinite's Slip Space engine, but there's now a time frame to his and fortunately for him, there is no time frame for his departure that's being reported at the moment. So Berger may still be around when 343 Studios is planned to split into three different businesses, with the production lead Pierre Hintz taking over Halo development, Brian Kosick becoming GM of the franchise in the future. And I mean, her name sounds pretty bounty hunter like, but Elizabeth Van Wyck will be overseeing business and operations as the third leg of the split. And this split became news right after Bonnie's departure. For those of you who are ready to attend an IT event, you can do it virtually now that registration for Microsoft Ignite is available. For those of the Ignite conference is in October, will be happening from the 12th to the 4th. And again, all you IT cloud guys in Seattle area, get your bags packed and your rooms comped by your account managers, because Microsoft has finally opened registration for its hybrid Microsoft Ignite conference. For those of us who are used to trekking to Orlando in previous years, we'll have to be joining virtually. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, if you're a swag connoisseur like myself, it's a bit of a letdown because I love going to those conferences and just grabbing bags and bags full of Microsoft stuff. But there is the other hand of being safe and healthy. So take it with however you want to this year. Microsoft's hybrid conference approach could be welcome for a lot of people, again, who are just trying to stay safe and save on travel and things of that nature. Either way, you can register for the event at ignite.microsoft.com if you haven't already. In a bit of fun news, we have some leaked specs that surfaced about a potential Microsoft upcoming gaming laptop. Now, take this with a massive grain of salt, but Microsoft may be getting ready to jump into the deep end of the gaming pool by producing a Surface-level gaming PC. A site I'm not too familiar with, named Prime Gaming, which appears to have been copyrighted just this year, so again, take it however you want to, offers a spec sheet for what many believe to be a Surface gaming laptop. Among the wish list of specs and features that's passing for a fantasy Surface gaming laptop are a 16-inch PixelSense Flow display with 165Hz refresh rate, resolution of 2560 by 1440, which I don't believe follows the 3:2 ratio, but who knows. And Dolby Vision support, as well as 16 and 32 gigabyte memory configurations, Intel's 12th Gen Core i5 and i7 processors, a possible NVIDIA GeForce 3050 and 3070 Ti, 102 or 127 watt power supplies, and could be weighing up to 4.4 pounds. As for connectivity, don't get your hopes up for a full HDMI or even a wired Ethernet port, as this mystery box only supports 3 Ethernet USB-C Thunderbolt 4 ports, a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, and a proprietary Surface Connect port, at least based on the spec sheet. The device is said to come in either magnesium and aluminum, as well as a platinum silver color that most Surfaces are known for, and the black. Again, I'd swallow this news down with a heaping pile of salt. As much as I would love to welcome a dedicated Surface branding gaming laptop, it doesn't make much sense for Microsoft to push beyond the current Surface laptop design for making a gaming rig. Also, beefing up the specs on the Surface Laptop Studio allows Microsoft to recoup a sunk R&D cost from last year, as well as push out a faster device. They already have everything they need for it. You just need to beef it up with maybe a little bit more cooling and put in the beefier GPU that everyone's asked you to do last year. What makes this even more confusing is because Microsoft fancies itself trying to push the industry in a certain direction, like they did with the Surface Pro, what they're trying to do with the Surface Laptop Studio, I suppose, what they did with Surface Go and Surface Go 2. They're trying to say, hey, these are devices our OEM should be making. So with that being said, it seems like there's also an issue of Microsoft competing for a market sector it's arguably attempting to undercut with Game Pass. I'd argue that recently Microsoft is pushing Game Pass as kind of for lesser spec devices that allow people to continue to play games via xCloud. So what I would expect them to do is create a thin client that would have a great screen, excellent battery life, LTE connectivity, probably no or reduced fan noise. I think that's the ideal device that they should make. That's how you push the market from selling boring beige laptops to shoehorning in detachables and two-in-ones like they did with the Surface Pro. They said everyone's making boring beige laptops. Let's make the Surface Pro. It's detachable. It's got a keyboard, and it's arguable how successful that's been. But again, making just another gaming laptop and stuffing a GPU in it, I don't see them succeeding at that. Moving away from gaming and hardware news, we found out that Google's plan is to jump out of laptop device making. Google's planned cost-cutting measures claim the Pixelbook division. Anyone suffering from PTSD from Google's non-committal relationship with hardware may be ready to book an extra session with their therapist this week, because the company is shedding light that it's going to be getting rid of the Pixelbook, at least for this year, and dissolving the team. And this is information that was reported on by The Verge, and they have people, they at least have sources that are familiar with the matter. Say goodbye to the Pixelbook for the foreseeable future, as The Verge reported earlier this week that people familiar with the team have been told to, people that are on the team have been told to look for jobs elsewhere within the company. Sundar Pichai sent out a company-wide memo about a week and a half ago stating Google's intentions to enact cost-cutting measures and would start by slowing its hiring process. Quote, "Because of the hiring process achieved so far this year, we'll be slowing down the pace of hiring for the rest of the year. We'll be supporting our most important opportunities for the balance of the 2022 and 2023 years. We'll be focused on hiring on engineering, technical, and other critical roles, and make sure that the great talent that we do hire is aligned with our long-term goals." As sending the Pixel team packing and presumably looking for other opportunities within the company, Pichai's memo also talks about moving forward with greater urgency, sharper focus, and more hungrier than they've shown in sunnier days, and in some cases consolidating where investments overlap and streamlining processes, which means goodbye to the Pixelbook. While I prefer Surface and Windows devices over the Pixelbook and Chrome OS, it's a bit deflating to have them out of the market, unfortunately. At least fortunately, OEMs have picked up the ball and ran with it and are creating inspiring Chromebook devices. Now the question is for how long and how high end they will continue to make them, because the PC market has kind of crashed now that the pandemic is over with and we've reached the end of life on that. And unfortunately, Chromebooks have crashed even harder during that time. People know, or at least know, that they want low cost, which kind of pigeonholes the Chromebook into a budget category. And so the necessity for high-end Chromebooks may no longer be there, which is maybe the writing on the wall that Google's seeing. In other Google-related news, the EU deals Google another antitrust blow to the tune of 4.1 billion euros. Google was slapped on the wrist by the EU's General Court, figuratively at least, as it upheld the 2018 decision to fine the company for quote-unquote unlawful restrictions on manufacturers of Android mobile devices and mobile network operators in order to consolidate the dominant position of its search engine. Barring an appeal, Google is slated to pay 4.125 billion euros, which is a step down from the original judgment of 4.34 billion euros. The news comes as Google preps for a tussle with the U.S. Department of Justice over its potential violation of antitrust laws in the states, as the company fends off two other major suits in the EU that could result in it paying close to $8 billion when all is said and done. And a bit of good news for the company, though. Not that many are rooting for the antitrust superheroes these days. Google was able to chip away at another U.S.-led case for antitrust, with a district court judge finding holes in the case early on. And just to throw a bit of Schadenfreude chum out there for us Microsoft fans and probably Google, Amazon was also recently sued by the state of California for anti-competitive practices. We'll see where that suit goes, and we'll keep you updated on that. We also got a Windows 10 release preview channel. Insider build 19044.2075 is ready, and it's ready for download for you if you're going to be doing it this week. Despite my goldfish-like memory retention, Windows 10 remains a thing for quite a few people out there. Unfortunately, Microsoft continues to develop for it. A couple of days ago, Microsoft released a Windows 10 Insider build to the release preview ring as build 19044.2075. The list of new things coming with the new build include Transport Layer Security TLS 1.0 and 1.1 being turned off by default. Adding the ability to search for the controls for news and interests on the taskbar and modifying them using the Settings app was another feature. Support for all taskbar orientations for news and interests was another tweak that they made. The Windows team is also introducing web authentication redirection. And lastly, there's been a new Azure Active Directory authentication sign-in to Windows using remote desktop functionality. Anyway, that is the end of the show. I want to thank you for spending some time with me. If you're into reading all things Microsoft, please visit on Microsoft.com for breaking news, editorials, reviews, and how-tos. If you're just into making snap judgments based on a few lines of content, head over to Twitter for our lesser nuanced take on things Microsoft and headlines, and on Microsoft.com, or Microsoft is our Twitter handle. And if you like TikTok formatted content, well, you can do that without us because we're not there just yet. As always, you are you, I am me. Do something wonderful with that knowledge today.